Families have been reunited with hundreds of sailors who've arrived home from a long stint at sea. HMAS Parramatta received a big welcome after a 6-month tour of duty in the Middle East.
Entering Sydney Harbour and standing tall as their loved ones finally come into view.
That's me boy! That's me boy!
It's been a long 6 months away from home.
Right, come here, you three.
Tears, embraces and a lot of catching up to do.
Yeah, it's pretty good coming in. Nearly teared up. Oh, it's incredible. It's uber awesome.
191 sailors on HMAS Parramatta back in the arms of family after efforts in the Gulf. One mission saving 16 Iranian fishermen who'd been left for dead by pirates. This operation saw a heroin smuggler intercepted, 240 kilograms tipped overboard and finances for extremists interrupted.
That means that we've taken approximately 2,500 insurgents or terrorists out of the fight for at least a month. We like to think that that has saved lives.
It's not only been a successful mission, but an incredibly long one. This ship has travelled 52,000 nautical miles, the equivalent of going 8 times around the world.
A long way, producing lots of stories to share and catch up on.
I hurt myself and
You missed me.
and I cried for her, that's why.
Josh Murphy, 10 News.
Well, there was an emotional homecoming for the men and women of HMAS Parramatta over the weekend. It docked in Sydney after a fruitful 6 months at sea in the Middle East. The Royal Australian Navy ship docked in Sydney. Our very own Ruben Murad had an exclusive 24 hours behind the scenes with the men and women on the boat.
For the crew on board the HMAS Parramatta, the Sydney skyline never looked so good. After a long 6-month deployment in the Middle East, 191 sailors and officers returned home over the weekend. 6 weeks ago, this crew successfully destroyed more than 1/4 of a tonne of illegal narcotics in the Arabian Sea. For their final night at sea, I flew out to take an exclusive look at the ship and hear a first-hand account of the drugs raid.
This is one of the ribs that was actually used in the haul, and you were actually driving it.
Yes, yeah, this is my rib.
RIB is short for rigid inflatable boat. It's what they use to go on board suspicious vessels at sea in their patrolled waters. In February, using the 2 ribs aboard, they sent 12 crew out to investigate a fishing boat.
We'll come into the target vessel, and then as we come in there, we get into a certain distance. The guys will, the boarding team will come up on aim, and they'll just cover that vessel in case there's a threat there.
This room is the nerve centre of every search they make. When they spot something in the waters, it's in the control room where the operation is organised.
On the day of the drug bust, this was where we detected the vessel from, and then when we actually started boarding the vessel, we coordinated all of the aspects from here.
The boarding party leader, whose identity we can't reveal, said whilst the crew on the vessel in question complied with all their requests, it didn't take long to see something wasn't right.
Once we boarded the vessel, we noticed that there was some things weren't adding up, and one of those was the food storage. It was in a place that food is normally not stowed on those vessels.
The food that caught their attention was simple bags of flour and rice. But after testing the contents, it came back positive for amphetamine and heroin. Quickly, the decision was made to throw the bust overboard.
$5 million is the production cost. What that actually means is we've taken out about 2,500 insurgents or terrorists from the game for about a month. They're the numbers that we work on. Those narcotics are sold in the international market throughout the world, and they're used to fund terrorism and the insurgency.
They had 6 bags totalling 240 kilograms, making it one of the biggest ever drug busts involving Australian Defence personnel.
It should be said they were doing a lot of other things as well. They had a lot of other secret jobs
that they can't let.
It wasn't just our man with the mic, and it's now time to check back in with his second part to his exclusive look on the HMAS Parramatta.
We're flying in a Navy Seahawk helicopter en route to board the HMAS Parramatta, an Australian warship that's returning from deployment after being in the Middle East now for the past 6 months.
The frigate has taken her crew over 52,000 nautical miles on this deployment to the Middle East. That's the equivalent to sailing around the world an incredible 8 times. Inside, it's a maze of corridors, pipes and stairs. I haven't even got my sea legs yet before they put me straight into the driver's seat.
I'm actually driving this thing. This isn't a joke. This is actually happening.
To keep fit, the crew have training every day. Yep, looks like a scene out of Top Gun. And burning all those calories means these guys get very hungry. Over 6 months, the 191 crew have chomped through nearly 17,000 kilograms of meat, 63,000 eggs, 900 kilos of chips, and let's not forget dessert. These guys have devoured over 2,000 litres of ice cream. Tonight is the final dinner of their 6-month trip, and in honour of their achievement, it's tradition for the captain, Commander Blackburn, to serve the crew their last meal on board as an expression of thanks.
What's the first thing you're going to do when you get home? Or is that not appropriate?
Time for bed. I'm not sure how they've done it, but the crew has spent half a year in these cabins.
So, Reuben, this is your rack for tonight?
One night is really going to be enough for me.
Where's my ensuite and...
So, no, there's no ensuite.
Room service?
No, there's no room service.
I think I may have been the only person to get a good night's sleep. The excitement of reuniting with loved ones after months apart has kept most of them up all night.
I'm home. It's a good feeling.
I started to feel a bit nervous, actually. Especially when you get closer to the wharf, you definitely get nervous.
I left my home, I left my home, yeah, yeah.
Well, come on, kiss.
Where I should go, where I should go, yeah, yeah.
It's like Love Actually, isn't it?
It is a bit.
The
That
beginning
was
and the end of
lovely.
Love Actually.
On the sea, the high seas. After the break...